In this video, I'm going to show you an Amazon product that I just found, and it only took me about 5 minutes. And the reason I want to make this video is I understand how hard Amazon FBA product research is, and I know how many new sellers get stuck trying to find a product. So I thought I've just found this one very quickly. I'll share it with you guys, talk you through the stats and what I like, also a couple of things that I don't like. Then I'm going to show you how I managed to find this product in 5 minutes, so that you guys can go and try the same thing if you're struggling with your own product research. So let's just start by taking a look at the stats. And if you've been following me for, well, recently, you'll know there are 3 things I tell everyone to look at when they first start doing product research. Number 1 is their demand. So I'm looking at this recent purchases column here, as this is Amazon's own data. So the first thing we're trying to make sure is this product actually sells. And if we take a look at this column, 100 plus units per month, 200 plus, 100 plus, 100 plus, 200 plus, 100, 100 plus. So the top 10 results here, the top 10 organic results. So this is with the organic results filtered. If I bring the sponsored back, you can see there are a lot of sponsored products in the search results, but we only want to focus on the organic listings. So you can see the top 10 or so organic positions are generating good sales. So what this says to me is this has quite a good landing zone to target. If you go into a niche where there's only 4 or 5 listings doing well, it's a very small landing zone, but I can be fairly confident if I can hit the top 10 or so positions, then I can achieve 100 plus or 200 plus sales per month in this niche, which is a really good starting point for new sellers who I usually recommend aim for somewhere between 1 to 300 units per month. So with the recent purchases looking good, we're going to take a look at the price, which is the second thing we're looking to tick off. And if you're trying to make money on Amazon in 2025 and beyond, you're probably going to want to be selling at £20 or very high teens at least, because below that, with the Amazon fees and PPC, it really eats into your profit. So I want to see, again, a landing zone of evidence. So at least 4 or 5 sellers at the price point that I'm looking at to show that it is possible to achieve these type of sales at the price point that I want to sell at. So if we take a look, $29.99, $19.99, $17.99, which is borderline, $21.99, $18.50, $17.99, $21.96. So we've got a good handful of sellers there, around about that £20 mark. And then the third thing we check, so we've checked demand, we've checked sales. The third thing to check is the demand consistent year round? There's no point a product selling well now if in a month or in 6 months it's selling very, very differently. So if we go over the 1 year view, we can see based on the search volume history, this sells pretty consistently year round. So that's a really, really good sign. So that ticks off the core 3 things that I look at when I'm doing product research. And the reason I look at those first, if any one of those 3 things don't stack up, I just close the product and move on to the next one, as you want to do your product research as efficiently as possible. So if these are critical, as soon as one of them doesn't tick that box, you can exclude that product and move on. So once I've done that, I then start to look across the rest of these columns of data, as there's an awful lot to look at. So if we start on the left-hand side, I'll take a look at the brand column to see if there's a big brand that is dominating this niche. And if we take a look, I mean, there's no one there with more than 1 or 2 listings, so I don't think there's any issues with brand domination. Also, what I like to do is look at basically the rubbish brands, the Chinese brands that are actually selling. So these guys here, Vakvad, Datsu, Boji Wad, whatever that is, Kinyoda. So imagine when I show you this product in a moment, if you haven't seen it, it's a baby weaning set. When I show you this product, if you're imagining that as a new parent, or you're buying this product as a gift for a new parent, would you feel like you wanted to trust these brands? So I've spoken about in the past about developing your own generic brand, a brand that you can use in any niche. But I think for niches like this, where there's a greater trust element involved, if you developed a brand that sounded more trustworthy, for example, Little Tots, I would be buying this one over that one all day long, just based on brand name. So I'm not saying brand name is going to make your product a success, but in certain niches, brand names are more powerful than others. So there's no issues with brand domination, and there's certainly room to stand out with a niche focused brand. So if we scroll a bit further over to the right hand side, the next column I look at, and if you're not doing your product research based on the number of sales and the price point, you can do it based on revenue instead. So if you're looking to make £2,000 to £3,000 or £3,000 to £4,000 of revenue per month, look at the ASIN revenue column, and this is the data you want to focus on. So this would actually tick the box I was just speaking about. And if we go a bit further over, the next column, we have seller country region. It's nice to see a few GB sellers in the results. If they are all CN, that can suggest that sometimes the niche is just too competitive or the price has been driven too low for a GB seller to make money. However, always keep in mind that some of these GB sellers may not be genuine GB sellers. You might click on their profile and they're actually Chinese and they are using a GB address to basically commit VAT fraud. So do be aware of that. The next thing to look at is the fees column. And these are nice and low. And by nice and low, I want to see about 30% of the sale price or below. So if we're selling at £20, if we're around £6 or £7, that is absolutely fine. Although do remember, you will be adding VAT to these fees as a new seller. We then take a look at the reviews. So there's no one here managing 5 stars, which is a good sign, as trying to maintain a 5-star average, which is 4.8 or above, is very, very difficult. But competing against 4.5-star products is absolutely fine. And then in the review column, we see some sellers with double-figure reviews, low 3-figure reviews, and even single-figure reviews, which may suggest some of these are fairly new listings based on the number of sales these are doing. If they're doing that type of monthly sales, I would have expected higher review counts. So there's something to take a look at later on as we scroll over. Size tier, small parcel, which is really good, and that is reflected by the fees we've already seen. I'm not interested in buyer box. Fulfillment, we want to see lots of FBA. You don't want to see too many FBMs, as that often suggests the product is too big or too heavy to send to the fulfillment centers and let Amazon do it. And you don't want to see too many of these AMZ listings either. I don't mind seeing 2 or 3 down here, but if all of these are AMZ, I would probably avoid the niche. The dimensions and weight will just confirm what we've seen with the size tier and the fees, and they all look very good. And the creation date, 2022, 2024, 2024, 2024, 2023. So there are quite a few newish listings in here within the last couple of years, or I have to remember we're into 2025 already, so maybe they're not that new. Maybe this is just a product that's become more popular over the past few years. So it's something to keep an eye on, as sometimes lots of new listings can indicate there is a high churn in that niche for a reason that is currently unknown. But I don't think, based on these creation dates, there is a red flag. And you can see, if you don't want to do the math yourself, you've got the seller age in months there, how long they've been selling those particular products. So on the face of it, the stats look pretty good. You know, it's certainly enough to make my shortlist. But choosing a product for Amazon is much more than just the stats. The stats are one part of it. The second part is looking at the product itself and asking yourself whether you feel like you can see a genuine opportunity in this niche. So if we take a look at the top, well, here are the top 10 products. The first 4 are sponsored listings. So this is the #1 organic listings. And then we've got 5 more under here, which are all organic as well. And the first thing that jumps out to me in this niche is it is very, very busy. Now, what do I mean by that? Because these are all bundling very heavily. To most sellers, this is just a wall of information. It's hard for them to go, which one of these is better? If anything, their eye is probably going to be drawn based on color alone. So sometimes it can be difficult to compete in these niches where there is a lot of noise as people bundling very heavily in the main photo. But if I was going into this niche, and by the way, I'm not saying to you guys go and sell in this niche. There are certainly other issues that I will speak about in a moment. If I was going into this niche, thinking as a parent myself of my son's 5, and I've been through this process over the past few years, when I was buying for him, I was looking for quality. I buy better stuff for him than I do myself. So I want something I can trust. And none of those at the moment are shouting trust at me, especially with some of the brand names we saw. And they're all very, very samey. So I think maybe there's an option here to enter with a more stripped back product that focused more on image, given that perception of quality with a niche specific brand name as well. I think then potentially you could come into this niche with a simpler offering that would appeal, I guess, to the more discerning buyer. And if we scroll down a bit further in the search results to have a look at the organic ones, things tail off quite quickly. I mean, look at this. This looks awful. This doesn't look great. That color scheme is terrible. These are poorly targeted PPC adverts. So you've got 10 listings at the top there, which are very, very similar, with the only difference really being color. Do you think you could come up with an offering that would stand out amongst those? I'd feel pretty confident I could. So based on that, certainly I would keep this on my shortlist and I would continue with my product research, and I'd come back to this again with fresh eyes, maybe the next day, to see if it still appealed to me. One thing to keep in mind, as this is a baby product, there may be certain testing or compliancy issues with this. So do keep that in mind. So that is the product that I found. Like I say, it took me less than 5 minutes. It appears to tick all of the core criteria that I've spoken about in many, many previous videos. So how did I find it? I don't think this will be surprising to many people that are using this software already. I'm using Blackbox from Helium 10. I'm just going to talk you very quickly through the filters as I've done tutorials on this software again and again and again. So just very quickly, we are searching on Amazon.co.uk, and what Blackbox does is it searches through a database of product so that we can assign certain criteria and strip out all the products that won't be of interest, and then it'll give us a list of products that may be of interest. And then within that list of 100 or 200 products, there might be a few opportunities that you will find. So we were searching in baby products. I was looking in the £20 to £30 price point range, as I don't want any products that are too cheap. I was looking for ACE in sales between 1 to 300 per month. You can search by revenue instead if you want to. In terms of shipping size, the only ones I don't search in is standard and large oversize. All of the other tiers are usually fine. Just be careful with small oversize. The weight I've put as £4, which is just under 2 kilograms, because in the UK, the fees above 1.9 kilogram can go up very, very quickly. And then I've got variation count here as 2, as I don't want to go into a niche where every other listing has 4, 5, 6 different variations, as it can be difficult to compete against those because all of those variations are contributing to the ranks of that particular product. So just very, very basic criteria. And like I said, I've done other videos on this if you want to go into it in more depth. And that search just returned this list of products. And within 5 minutes, I was able to find the baby weaning set, which maybe it has potential, although I have just noticed that some of these products do have variations. So it must have been one of the ones that didn't have variations that was returned in the search results. Now, if you want to get started with your own Amazon FBA business and you want to find your first product before you do anything else, there is a link in the pinned top comment that will show you the latest Helium 10 discount. It's always changing. They run different promos throughout the month, every single month. So if you click that link, it always pulls through the latest promo, which is currently 20% off for up to 6 months, depending on how long you want to sign up for. And that'll be directly above, or is it below? I can never remember, a link to the FBA Elite course as well. Now, if you do want to get started with your product research, but you don't want to use the black box technique, I'm going to pop up a video now which will show you the method that I use for my own product research, and I'll see you guys over there.